Hello, hello, hello. Happy Saturday, everybody. Here, my name is Jay Edgar, and welcome to Across the Board with Jay Edgar. We're going to have some guests coming on here and talking a little bit later on in the program here. Looking to wait and see how many of them have and have not filed in. I told them to be here by 6 o'clock Central, so I hope that we see all of them on here because I've got some great guests to sit here and talk about the election with. Plus, we've got a monologue from me, which I'm sure that everybody's prepared for, and we'll be taking some live chat intermittently between the monologue and the guest section, but at the end of the show, we are going to go all in on live chat. So make sure if you want to say something about the election, get it in there, because we'll read it, we'll answer your questions. We'll be doing a lot here for you guys today, so it's going to be a blast. I'll actually have, I think, my first guests ever from the Great White North, too, so that'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that here. A couple people you recognize, a couple people you'll be seeing for the very first time, and I'm fairly excited for what could come out of this here. So let's check up with the live chat here, get rid of some of the intro music, and figure out what's going on there. Of course, as always, we're using musical samplings from David Wise, but I do think that I'll be getting some new bumper music. I've got something coming up on the road here from a good friend of the show, Chris Lokes, and I are in talks about a little bit of a bumper beatage, so I'm pretty excited about that. Alright, let's get rid of this here and let's get into the talking. So, on the live chat starting off here, we have got Galt, Sympathetic Stain, front and center, Saint, good evening, bitches. We are all bitches, thank you, Saint. And Harvey McLeod, hello kids. Harvey McLeod was a guest on the last Across the Board, the first Across the Board, Harvey McLeod was a guest on, so I'm sure she'll have plenty of questions coming up on here, ready to go. Flashbacks of 2000, anyone? Yeah, I remember that. I'm a little bit surprised that you're old enough to remember that, Harvey McLeod, but I actually do remember that in the call early, and then, the Time magazine cover that said, it showed all the Florida people with quizzical looks on their faces because nobody knew what the hell was going on with Florida. And we will talk a bit about that as well. I'm fairly excited to see what goes on with that. So I'm going to be 30 next month. Well, I'm 36, so I'm just a little bit older than you, and I was there. If I'd have been born 2 years earlier, I could have voted in that very election. Not at the time I would have voted the right way, but, it is what it is. All right, so let's get to talking here. Let's enjoy what's going on here. Let's talk a little bit about what happened. So we are here today to talk about the election of Joseph R. Biden Jr. to the United States presidency as called by CNN, Fox, PMSNBC, and all the other major mainline news outlets. Now, we don't know whether or not this is actually true or not. The counting continues. That's one thing to go. But even when people come out and concede the election, the counting has continued far and far beyond the elections. I remember when I went to bed in 2012, when Mitt Romney finally conceded the election, I remember that Mitt Romney was ahead in the popular vote, and he wound up losing the popular vote at that. So the counting is going to keep going, and it's going to keep going. And even if there is no path to victory for one candidate or the other, the counting is going to continue going left and right, and we will get a final tally off of this here. Spartan says, Count Dracula to the rescue. I guess I don't know what that means on Count Dracula to the rescue, but we will see what happens. Thank you, Spartan, for coming in and hanging out with us. So, yes, as of this point, the mainstream media has called this, and something we didn't have in 2000 at Bush versus Gore that we do have now is an exorbitant amount of social media, and everybody over on the left is taking a gigantic victory lap because they believe that they have won the world, that the world is their playground now, and that everything is all well and good. And this goes right along, and I could go on my entire monologue about two religions theory. Because two religions theory, which is something that I've calculated about the political situation in Washington, D.C., is, it is massively apparent at this. But I'm not going to spend the whole monologue talking about this. I might make a solo video about it, or I might see if Brian Nichols is still interested in hosting me and having the two of us talk about it as well. I know he's been busy, but he's opened up new shows every week too, so he and I can sit back and talk about that. I actually do want to sit, because he wants to sit and see what we can do to sell Liberty, and I have an idea. So I'm going to bring it up to him and see what it is that he wants to do off of that. But as far as the election goes, so just to get everybody caught up on the timeline, everything ready to go, and what we see going on with this. So, of course, we sat back and watched on the election. We watched the numbers come in. And, I mean, going in, before we took the break on the election night coverage, it looked pretty solid. Like, Trump was going to win straight through. I think before the break, I actually looked at the map and looked over at Seawall, because he was sitting there tabulating with me, and said, I think, and we counted the numbers. I said, I think that he's at 270 right there. What happens if he goes well over 270 once again? So coming in at the beginning of the night, when states started reporting and states started getting called, it really looked like this was an absolute win. It looked like Virginia was going to flip. It looked like Wisconsin, Michigan were both going to go for Trump. Pennsylvania was heavily in the camp for Trump, getting ready to go. So there was a lot of stuff going along with that. Harvey says the media doesn't get to call it. Midget says, sup cunts. Harvey says it's not over till it's over. Watching trains go by says, did I miss it? I was in a dark hole for a little while. Okay, that's not what you should be calling your old lady or whoever you spent the night with, but, you know, that's between you and her, so I can't opine on that. Saint says, we're on list now and everybody watch out. Yeah, I will address that here in just a bit, because that's something else that I want to talk about on my own, and I want to talk with my guests about as well, because that is an interesting development that's coming along with this. I actually should have queued up a visual aid for that, because I want to sit back and read that. So anyway, we're coming up to this point, and as everything started rolling in, especially as we were going on through the night, when we went to bed, it was still looking like it was firmly in Trump's camp, but it was not anywhere near as positive as we were seeing before, and it looked like, I mean, it still looked like anybody's game when I finally went to bed on Wednesday morning. And then, as more and more things rolled in, suddenly, by the end of work the next day, it was Biden 264, Trump 214, with Nevada still leaning towards Biden. And then all the other stuff started to come out, and a lot of other people started talking and questioning what was going on with this. So there are a lot of other things that went along with that, and a lot of other things that we still don't know what's going on with any of this. Watching Trains Go By says, my account got nuked last night. Oh, are you over on Twitter? What was your handle? Were you following me? I know, I've been over on Twitter every day saying riggers, which may be the new pejorative off of there, just to see how long it takes before my Twitter gets nuked. I said it once, and I'm going to just keep going through with it. I'm going to go aggressive and hard on that to see how long it takes before my account gets nuked, because I want to see. No, here on YouTube. Really? Because you're still watching over here. And I'll be honest, I didn't actually go and look and see if you had any other videos off of this, but I mean, you've been watching my videos for so long, I guess I should have gone back and looked, or you could have mentioned something up in the chat, but I didn't know you were uploading videos of your own. I'm sorry, but yeah, if you got nuked, what'd you get nuked for, if you don't mind me asking? Anyway, I gotta get back onto the monologue here. So, yeah, we woke up, we went to bed on Wednesday night, still looking like it was up in the air, and with a lot of questions. Now, Nevada has filed lawsuits and criminal charges at this point. Arizona has filed criminal charges. Michigan is filing lawsuits. So there are a lot of other things that are being questioned right now. As far as what states came up and what states did this, what states are in, what states are out. As far as all of that goes, first off, I told Seawall right at the beginning, and he didn't believe me when he saw the numbers when we were finishing up for the night, but I told Seawall right off, first and foremost, Wisconsin is not going to go for Trump. I can promise you that. And I could promise that right off the beginning. I could promise Wisconsin wasn't going to go for Trump. Because I've seen this happen in Wisconsin before. I've actually filed a complaint with the elections commissions over the Evers election and the Karofsky election as well, which the Karofsky election did come in and become much, much, much more substantial for Jill Karofsky than what we saw of the Evers election, but it was the same thing, and I knew it was going to happen in Wisconsin once again. So what happened in Wisconsin was just as we saw in various other places around the country. The votes came in. Everybody started tallying the votes. Now, in Wisconsin during the gubernatorial race in 2018, Tony Evers and Scott Walker were going back and forth, neck and neck throughout the entire night. They never went outside of 1% of each other. In any case, anywhere across the board. They never went to anything other than that. They were within, I think the biggest margin was 0.7% throughout the entire night between the two of them. And then, all of a sudden, at 1 o'clock, and I was hearing this from a few different outlets. I wasn't streaming it, but I was hearing it from a few different outlets. All of a sudden, I heard Vicki McKenna jump up. I saw her up on Twitter. She jumped up and she said, "Oh, well, they just found 3,000 ballots in Milwaukee County." And you know where they're going to go in Milwaukee County. They just found 3,000 ballots with a gluing error, and that pushed Tony Evers up to 1.1% above Scott Walker, which by Wisconsin law means that they are outside of the recount ability. I am not streaming to one platform, and I don't know which one it is. Hang on. And then I'm going to go figure out where my guests are, because we're getting down to that line here. Oh, I guess I never hooked onto Facebook. I wonder if I got nuked on Facebook. That would be cool. I guess I'm not going there, though. So we'll see what happens there. Oh, I lost one of my guests, though, so we'll figure that out. I wish I would have known that right before. But we'll see what happens there. Maybe it'll still pop in, but we will see what is happening on there. I apologize for that. All right, let's keep going here anyway. Yeah, a little bit of on-air production there. So, down a guest for sure. Anyway, at this point, we don't know who won. The media is coming out and saying that Biden has won. The media has come out and called it. And, you've got your Twitter personalities like, Jodie Sweetin for whatever the hell she's done since she was a little kid. Pretty much any other Hollywood celebrity. That was the one that caught up with me right now. Every e-thought in the world over on Instagram is taking a victory lap at this point because they have said that they've finally gotten rid of the evil orange man. Now, one of the things to point out, of course, keeping in mind with this, and something that you can go back and point out to these people back and forth, because I've had a lot of people come up and say that you can't rig an election. That's impossible to rig an election. Is that they're all pissed off right now that it wasn't Bernie Sanders that won the presidential election, that it was Joe Biden. I think Jade Field from the Teens React and Adults React channel, if you guys are familiar with that over on YouTube, was the one who put it best. She was taking the big victory lap, and she said, well, I thank God that Donald Trump isn't going to be the president anymore. Now, note, I didn't say that I thank God that Joe Biden is going to be the president. I hate Joe Biden, but he's better than Donald Trump. And I do think that there are a lot of things that go along with that, especially seeing what we are seeing from the mainstream media and everything going along with this, is the fact that a lot of the people and look at what we see. They're saying right now that Joe Biden has a massive record number of votes. He has the world record in number of votes out there. Joe Biden beat a record for number of votes when nobody was excited to go out and vote for him. Now, I know people are coming out with that and saying that, okay, this is fuckery. This is absolute fuckery and nothing of this makes sense and none of this can be real. They keep coming out and saying that, but in reality, when you look at it, and I pointed out, I talked about, who was I talking about? Freckle Liberty over on Twitter and her particular following. Now, she has admitted, and there are a lot of people that follow Freckle Liberty over on Twitter because they like her content. They enjoy what she has going on. They enjoy watching her bat around the left and going in and saying no you to anybody who comes back to dare try to insult her. She's got a lot of good following. I'm sure there's a lot of simpage following out there too because she is reasonably attractive. Don't get me wrong on that. So there's a lot of people in that camp, but there are also, by her own admission, a large amount of people that are in her following that are hate follows. And what is she up? 14, 15,000 followers over on Twitter. And I don't know what the percentages of hate follows are, but I do know that there are a lot of hate follows that are following along with this. So, to that point, I don't know if Joe Biden got 70 million votes out of the country as much as I think anybody but Trump got 70 million votes out in the country. I'm pretty sure that that's a more accurate count right now, is the fact that it was anybody but Trump. Let's see. Let me go grab some live chat here, see what you guys are doing. Watching Trains Go By says not here on YouTube. Yep, new Gmail, new account, same name. Saint says, Gobi, were you chatting via on VivaStream this week? I don't know what VivaStream is. Watching Trains Go By says, no, actually YouTube is the only platform I'm on. I do all my dirty work here, but it doesn't come close to crossing community guidelines. They're purging the little guy right now. Oh yeah, my channel's probably going to go. Saint says, as I said, we're on lists now. Watch out. Okay, I'm going to touch on that right before we get somebody in. Actually, I'm going to send this link out to Harvey too, because with a guest dropping out, I'm actually going to see if she'll duck in real quick. So let me drop something over on Discord here quick. Hang on. Because that'll get my fourth guest up here. And I'll explain why in just a sec. Just in case. Because then we can get that nice fourth person in here. And then we'll have a nice 4-person round table. Alright, that is dropped. Anyway. Alright. Yamafago says, I'm here just eating and then I'll be ready. Well, pop in anytime before. You got 10 more minutes, so pop in before the next 10 minutes and we'll see you going on there. Let's see. Harvey says, yeah, I watched them. Well, not really, but I'm aware of them. Trains says, Ben Shapiro said the same. They think one-dimensionally. He says it takes too much organization. But if they act like terror cells, small groups in many locations, acting independent, easy peasy. Magical Indica, I'm not going to read that. Sorry. Watching Trains Go By says, farmers like Biden because he falls asleep before 6 p.m. every day. Love it. Spartan says, George Floyd got Biden elected. Yeah, there's a possibility of that. Magical Indica says, if people really think Joe Biden got more votes than Obama in 2008, they're crazy. Yeah, they are. And Ellen Lewis June says, hi. Hello. All right, and let's talk just a little bit more about what's going on here. Now, Saint has brought this up a couple of times, and this goes along with the victory lap that they're taking. And this is something that I do have to say. As of right now, you see people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the exalted representative. I say that because we're not allowed to call her AOC anymore, because apparently it's derogatory to just call her by a nickname. I don't know. But we're not allowed to call her AOC anymore. Is out there saying, make sure that you do screen caps, that you watch anybody who's complicit with Donald Trump right now, because I got a feeling that a lot of tweets are going to be deleted, and we need to put these people on lists. And I've been warning about this actually for just a little while. So what's going on with the list and what's happening with all of that is the fact that, and this is something that we see all the time. You look over on Twitter, you comment something against some NPC leftist over on Twitter, and all of a sudden you get a notification that NPC over on Twitter has put you on a list, and it's usually like something like Donald Trump lovers or something like that. So you've got all of that going on. You see all that happening. You enjoy all of that kind of stuff, and it is weird to see. But I said it right in the beginning. Even before the election, I said, when socialists start putting you on lists, you do need to start being scared. Because there's going to be some sort of retribution. And you know that there's going to be some sort of retribution. You know that that's what they're going to do because they said right away that that's what they're going to do. They're not even trying to hide the ball on this. Hold on, I'm going to throw a mute up here quick. Just looks like I've got Harvey in here, but I'm going to see if she can mute. No, I can actually mute it over on this end. There we go. Never mind. I got it muted. So yes, socialists are going out there putting people on lists, which they've been doing since the 1930s. And Saint says, yeah, Jennifer Rubin did the same thing. Yeah, I got a couple of tweets up in my Twitter for this. So AOC and Jennifer Rubin are both out there saying that to make sure that you remember these people who are supporting Trump. And we go all the way back to this. I mean, even in the debates, Kamala Harris was saying that she wanted to have some sort of retribution against people who elected Trump. That she wants to have retribution against the people who supported them. She wants to put them in prison. With what AOC is saying about retribution against Trump voters, with what Jennifer Rubin is saying about retribution against Trump voters, with what random NPCs over on Twitter are saying about retribution against Trump voters, I'm going to tell you right now, I take every one of them at their word. I believe that they're going to do it. I believe 100% that if they come to power, if they somehow squeak this through, and it doesn't get overturned in the courts, then yes, you are on a list, and there's going to be retribution against you for being a Donald Trump supporter, for aiding and abetting treason. And that goes into the last point that I want to make on my monologue before I start pulling guests in. And that is this. I talked about this on the RRC podcast last night. I talked about this on Contemporary on Friday morning. I'm sorry, it was Thursday morning that I talked about it on Contemporary. I talked about it on both of those platforms. I'm going to talk about it on this in my monologue. And that is the fact that why Joe? And I had to think about this for a second, and I've been thinking about this since the very beginning. Since everybody bowed out and cleared the way for Joe in South Carolina. Why Joe Biden? Why Joe Biden, of all people? Okay, yes, he was Barack Obama's running mate. Yes, that is true. Yes, he was in the Senate for 47 years. Yes, he did a lot of very, very union-friendly things throughout his 47 years. I was going to write Joe Biden in 2008 over former President Obama because I grew up in a union household. I grew up as a union Democrat. Joe Biden had a lot of very, very union-friendly ideas and laws and bills that he passed throughout the 90s. And he didn't spend the entire primary season coming out and saying, redistribution of wealth, and free healthcare, free college, and free everything else. All the things that made Barack Obama popular and got him through. He didn't say all those kinds of things. He was a union-friendly Democrat, which was, I think, part of the reason that they put him in. But knowing where the Democrat Party has gone in the last few years, I don't even think that was a safe bet. And he did come on, and he did do some of the socialist crap. And I started realizing, and the Hunter laptop really kind of pushed this over the edge for me. Because first and foremost, Razor Fist has put it out personally, and probably put it out in one of the best ways, that everything that they tried to impeach Trump on, Joe Biden did. He actually did. Everything that was in the Donald Trump impeachment, Joe Biden actually did while he was vice president of the United States. And then I looked back a little bit further, and I realized something. Remember back in 2019, when when the SDNY came out and said that they were going to file criminal charges against Donald Trump. And, of course, all the people, or Joy Reid over on The Views, oh my God, they finally got him. They're going to get him out of office. They're going to get him out of office. Because the SDNY was coming up and doing something. And we all came back and we came forward and said, they can't do that. As the president, if he's committed a crime, he has to be impeached. And several court cases came out, and several people pointed out correctly that the president cannot be investigated for anything while he is in office, while he's actually in the office as the president. He can't be investigated. He can be investigated, but he can't be charged with anything while he's the president. And then it started, the wheels started turning with me a little bit. Now, of course, the SDNY has come out and said that you're right, we can't charge the president with anything. We've been investigating. We've got these big old charges sitting out there, but we can't do anything until he's out of office. And we need to elect him out now so we can indict him with this. Because by the time he gets out of office, if he gets a second term, the statute of limitations will be up. Which tells me that they do have a specific indictment that they want to lay on him. I'll get into that in just a second. Furthermore, and this is the big one right here, if this is true, if everything on Hunter's laptop is true, and it does appear that it can be corroborated, then as soon as Joe Biden is sworn into office, they can no longer indict him for that while he is a sitting president. And you know as well as I do that he is not going to make it through a first term. It is just not going to happen. He can't string together a sentence now. He's had aneurysms. He's got brain damage. He can barely have a thought in his head. He's not going to make it through a first term, which means that he goes to the end without being able to be indicted. He goes to the grave without being able to be indicted. Furthermore, now that they're pulling Trump out of office in 2021, if this is actually what goes on, if this is actually what happens, now that they're pulling him out, he can be indicted. And they can throw the absolute ever-fucking-loving book at him. Why do you think they're charging him in New York? Because then they can throw the book at him with a jury that's going to be sympathetic to him, to their cause, because there's not going to be an impartial jury anywhere in this country. So now they can throw a jury at him that is going to throw him in prison. They can throw the book at him, possibly give him bigger and harsher charges than any crime that they bring up in front of him would warrant, and make the example that you outsiders, you people who are not involved in politics, you people who aren't the chosen ones, you better not run for office ever again, because this is what we're going to do for you. This is what we are going to do to you if you run for office and win. We are going to make your term a living hell, and then we're going to put you in prison for the crime of running for office when you weren't supposed to. So you've got two sides going on with Biden getting elected, if he gets elected, and he actually gets through and he pulls through off of this. Two angles to this, two things to watch. And furthermore, the establishment stays in power forever. None of us ever goes and runs for office again, and they slowly, or in cases quickly, take away your freedoms until they can take away everything that you have and redistribute it to their friends, either those on the lowest rung of the totem pole or their friends in the Politburo, depending on how valuable your stuff is. And with that, that is going to be my monologue here. I've got 2 out of 4 people in, so I'm not sure when the other people are popping in. I'm going to send a quick message over off of this here, and then we will switch the scene and get these people up on the screen. All right, Callie looks like she's a little bit camera shy, so she's just going to use voice and throw one more message out here quick. So unprofessional. I left my ringer on. All right, let's get everybody else pulled in and let's get started. So switch out the scene and get everybody else in. All right, we've got 2 out of 4 guests up on the screen, which is better than no guests up on the screen. And I always, when I start out the show, I get a little bit nervous about whether or not that's going to happen. First and foremost, she is here to play games for you. We've got Harvey McLeod. Excuse me, it's John from the Generational Gap, with a couple of other people coming up here, getting ready to go. How you guys doing today?
How's it going, man?
I'm a bundle of nerves.
Oh, you'll be safe. You get to live in the Politburo state.
Well, I was in downtown Mountain View today, and we saw like a little group of people on the street waving an American flag with champagne. And my husband thought like, oh, they must be, conservatives for Trump waving an American flag because, let's face it, leftists do not wave flags. They don't like the flag. But he goes, I honk for you guys. And they're like, yeah, Joe Biden. And my husband goes, oh, man, I want my honk back. I'm like, James, they're not for us. They're not on our side. They're popping champagne because the media said Joe Biden won, which doesn't mean anything, but they're going to say that it does. And
Right.
yeah.
Well, and that's one of the first things to come along with this is the fact of I've got to ask you guys: do you think that he actually won? Do you think that there is a possibility? Now, I'll
I
question everything. I will come out absolutely and question everything because that's what I do.
mhm.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah. I
should.
mean, of course, it's a possibility. I just don't think it did. I just don't think he did win.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you
I
guys,
don't. I don't think Joe Biden won fairly. I think if it comes to that, I don't think he won fairly.
No, certainly not.
can you defend that? I mean, I know where you're going with it, but I want to.
Well, okay. Well, to me, if something doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. And whenever I saw the election play out, every time I went to bed and saw that Trump was leading in a state, and then I'd wake up and say, "Oh no, actually, there a bunch more votes came in, and they're all for Biden." And I'm like, that does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw this coming when they were pushing for the mail-in votes. Like that is hugely sus. And whenever I voted here in California, they didn't even ask for my ID. All I had to do was tell them my first and last name and my address. And any of my neighbors could have done that. And anybody that knows me and knows where I live could have said, "Oh yeah, I'm Harvey McLeod and I live here. Yeah, that's me." And that does not bode well for me. And they gave us Sharpies. And apparently that like messes with the voting machine. So
Yeah, what is your guys' take on Sharpie Gate? Because that's been one of the big news stories
I
since.
mean, yeah, I mean it's weird. I can see why, because when I was filling it out, I'm like, this bleeds through to the other side. And I thought that was kind of weird, but that's all that they gave us.
Jane?
um, yeah, I mean, I don't know how big of a deal or how much it actually affected things, but if it did, then don't you think they should have like some kind of standardized? You must use this kind of pen, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Holy shit! Hold on,
yeah,
I
that's my
gotta
big issue.
hold on one sec. I gotta do out a big thank
Yeah.
you because Galt over in the chat here, and I just caught it off the corner of my eye on my tablet. Just dropped the double Ninja Genie. So wow, thank you.
Shit. Yeah, nice.
Wait, what is that?
1,000 lemons over on D Live.
Yeah, and
Oh
you and
yeah, I
Harvey,
love
you and I are
lemons.
splitting half of those. So
All right, I love lemons. Make a lemon meringue pie. Yes. Anyway, so that is that's my take on it. I know that this is going to get dragged out no matter who wins, and I think the media has done some pretty bad damage and showed their true colors, but so many people choose to believe it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And
that's,
Fox is like a spineless cut. Fox News is done in this household.
yeah, I'm gonna touch on that one in just a sec. John, what were you saying on the Sharpie Gate thing? I mean, I've got my own opinions on that, but I want to hear what you've got. Meanwhile, I'm
Oh
trying to
no, I
look and
already
see.
I already mentioned it. Basically, I don't know how much of a big deal it is, but if it is one, and we knew that, then why don't we have some kind of standardized writing utensil for it? Just a Bic pen would be easy enough.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
Well, and that's the thing that I don't understand right now either is the fact that I don't know why people aren't carrying around pens with them either. I mean, it's an easy thing. I mean, I'm a little bit of a pen snob myself, so I mean, everybody needs to have one of these in their pocket.
Yeah, fountain pen.
The good old fountain pen off of this. But I mean, in realistically and in reality of that, even before I discovered fountain pens, I always had the Pilot G2 in my pocket. I always have a pen in my pocket. I never go anywhere without having one.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's so
I
I
weird.
always
never
have a pen in my purse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a pen.
I don't know. I've
But
never
that's
carried a
it,
pen with me.
it's there does need to be a standardized system to vote. We have so many different facets of being able to vote now, and that's where all this madness is happening. That's where all these chances for exploitation and fraud can occur. I don't understand why we couldn't all just go in person, wear a mask, do your early voting if you want to space it out if you have to, but by November 14th, that's it. Whatever we have is what we have. And them closing or blocking off the windows, I can't remember what state did that, but they were closing off the windows so you couldn't see inside. Like,
That was
who is
Michigan.
falling for this crap?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't say. So why would they feel the need to do that if he won fair and square?
Yep.
I mean, so with that in mind, I'm going to skip ahead then to another topic that I want to talk about. Where do you stand on the poll watching? Because that seems to be one of the big things that's been being talked about with this is poll watching and whether or not it was legal and whether or not it was actually above board. So, John, why don't you go first on that one?
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when the Proud Boys were supposed to be going to the polls and scaring and intimidating people out of voting? Remember when that was supposed to happen? Why didn't that happen? But anyway, also, but like that's a totally different aside. I don't know. I mean, I've seen like a few videos and stuff on scrolling through Twitter and stuff of people saying, "Oh, I'm a poll watcher and I wasn't able to go in." I don't know how there's no way to verify whether that person really is a poll watcher or not. So it could just be people making stuff up. I don't know. I tend to maybe it's my bias, but I tend to believe them. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like Harvey was saying, if he won fair and square, then why do they feel the need to hide things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I mean, he pretty much said what I think. I think the whole thing it makes no sense to me. I'm sorry, my brain is just fried from all this shit.
Yeah,
But
it's been exhausting.
that is my take, and I feel like we should know. We should have known already. We should have known who won and who didn't. People can say like it looked like this in the beginning and it looked like this, and the results changed. I'm like, okay, but when results change overnight and they always change in favor of the person who has the entire media backing him, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think what the damage the media has already done and put in place in case Trump is able to pull a Hail Mary and get this through, they've already riled everybody up to not accept the results, and it's going to tear this country apart.
Yeah, and I look at that too, and one of the things that I thought about, and I think Styx has pointed this out, somebody else did too, was the fact that now that the media has come out and said officially that Joe Biden won the election, the media has come out and said this, so now if this goes to the courts and this gets overturned, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hear for the rest of the election cycle and for the next 4 years is, well, Trump stole the election. That's the only explanation to it, is Trump stole the election. How could he steal the election?
And people are saying no. Yeah, that is the plan. I think they're aware. They know that it's going to be challenged, and they know that it might go into Trump's favor. That's what I think. That's what I hope, at least. What do I know?
Right.
Well, I mean, whichever direction this goes at this point at the end, I do think that there's going to be, this is going to be a good thing at the end of all of this, because no matter where this goes, no matter how this happens, and no matter what comes off of this, now we're back and looking at something that we don't, we've all been joking about this for years, and I've actually seen it happen where they just, oh shit, we need emergency ballots, and all of a sudden, hey, look at all these ballots with a gluing error that we found in a trunk of a car. We've known this goes on for years. We've been memeing about it since before there were memes.
Mm-hmm. I think the takeaway from this is no matter who wins, the confidence in the electoral system is gone.
Well, yeah, the confidence in the electoral system is gone, and yet people are also going to come out and investigate this kind of stuff. Do you think Jeb would have investigated if everything would have got overturned for him at the very last second? Do you think he would have investigated? Do you think he would have raised a finger to say, hey, you know what? Hey, I think there was some impropriety here.
I don't know. Who cares about Jeb? I don't think even the Bush family cares about Jeb.
Well, I'm using Jeb as an example of the establishment off of this because, one of the old jokes going in Congress is that conservatism is progressivism going the speed limit. That's one thing that goes along with that. And the other thing that goes with that is the GOP has been known and is expected to just roll over whenever a challenge is thrown up in front of them.
That's true. I agree. I think the Republicans are very spineless in this regard. They can put their foot down. They can put up a good fight, and they're not.
Yeah, and I mean, now that we've got a raging orange narcissist in the White House, I think he's going to be the one.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be the one to stand up and see this happening, which we know has been happening for years, and he's going to say, "No, no, excuse me, nope, nope, it's wrong, wrong, wrong. Hey, my microphone's cut off. Nope."
Yeah. Nobody can really give me a good example of why Trump is so bad. Like, I get it. He doesn't carry himself presidentially, and he's an asshole. But, like, what has he done? Like, how's your life so much worse? Like, that he's the second, he's Lucifer, that some people are saying. Like, what's going on here?
Well, the media told me he was bad, so, I mean, obviously he's bad.
Yeah.
What, are they going to just sit there and lie to us? I mean, come on.
That's true. I mean, the media is on our side.
Of
We have
course.
our interests at heart.
Absolutely.
But nobody can really tell me. Like, you can hate Trump, I mean, or dislike him greatly. You know, I don't have the highest opinion of Obama, but I respect the office at the very least.
Well, we defer there.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
you have to respect me as the president because I'm the first black president, and
Like that. I've already decided if I ever meet any president, doesn't matter. If I meet any president, I know exactly what I'll say, and they'll just be like, "Fuck you, Mr. President." In that respect, right? Fuck you, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, yeah, I don't have respect for that office, or most offices really,
even if it was Joe.
especially. No, you're talking about Joe Jorgensen, right? Not Joe Biden.
Yes.
Joe Jorgensen, no. I would have to maintain my principles and still not have respect for the office. I'm not a big fan of her either, but it's a whole other thing.
Well, you were the one that took your Sharpie and for her.
Yeah.
I was hoping that Callie would have got in here. She's having some load time issues over on. I've just checked in with her. She's having some load times. I think my other guest ditched me, which is lame, because I wanted to get some of the Trudeau effect in here because Trudeau has been having an outsized effect on this election. But let's talk third parties here for a second. So, I know that one of the big blames right now, and I know that Elaine is sitting over on Twitter and gloating about this over the fact that the Libertarian Party did what the Libertarian Party does and spoiled the election for both candidates.
Right.
Where do you think the role of the third party candidates is? And we've actually had a few this time through, and a couple of prominent ones. Jo Jorgensen, obviously, because, I mean, she was one of the most Googled people after the first debate. But we also had the birthday party.
Nobody knew who she was.
What's that?
Yeah.
What did you say, Harvey?
Well, I think third party. I'm sorry?
What did you say the first time? You got blocked out there.
Nobody knew who she was. That's why they had to Google her. Like, who?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody in the LP even knew who she was.
I didn't know who she was. Yeah.
I didn't know until I listened to one of her campaign managers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember I was watching the Freckles and Brits stream when she popped in and they came out and said that, oh yeah, Jo Jorgensen is going to be the candidate. And these are the people that were on that particular stream are people who pay very, very close attention to the LP. I mean, between John and Steven and myself and Freckles and Britt, didn't we interview almost everybody that was vying for the LP nomination?
Just about, yeah.
I had 3, I know. Freckles and Britt had 5, and they had just started their show when it was getting down to the wire, too.
Yeah.
All right, we have the fourth person in the group here to talk with us here. If you don't vote, who's going to bomb brown people in the Middle East? Kelly the Kitty over on Twitter. How we doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys?
Good.
And it looked like you were having a little bit of trouble getting in over on the Zoom call, so we do apologize to the audience for that. We were just talking about third parties, and I know that you are full-on anarchist plus Canadian, so you take a little bit of a different perspective to this. But what role do you think the third parties played in this election that we just had?
I see that they took a lot of votes away from third parties, especially in Pennsylvania. If you've seen the images I tweeted, they were taking votes away from the Libertarian Party. Like they lost 40,000 votes one time, and then another time they lost 14,000 somehow in half an hour. It's like really suspicious.
Yeah, I do
Or maybe
remember.
a lot of libertarians
I think
had a change of heart, you know.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that. That was one of the things that I reported on. Oh, and I actually got this wrong because I tried to do Occam's razor for this. I did this on Contemporary the other morning. I tried to Occam's razor it away, and it turned out to be I was completely wrong on this because I said, "Oh, well, you know what? This looks like two different screenshots, so maybe this is from two different phones and different time zones." And then I realized, oh wait, the orange spending spree and the Alzheimer's patient both went up in votes, and Jorgensen went down. So, whoop. I got to call my bad on this one. I got that one wrong.
Not what it calls even mean anymore, right?
So, and I wanted, and given the fact that you are not in this country, you're over in Canada, but your country has been having an outsized role in this as well. Trudeau, it turns out, gave large amounts of money, and according to the other woman who was supposed to be on the stream, Amanda Online, apparently it was taxpayer money that she gave into the Hillary campaign back in 2016. And I already know that he's promised to help in military intervention if Trump refuses to leave the White House if he loses. So since you're a resident Canadian over here, what do you think about that?
About that.
So I just no foreign internationals should get involved in elections. We have the same laws in Canada where they're not supposed to, and like Obama got involved with ours, and so did Trump. Well, not Trump, but Obama did, and he's like, "Oh, I hope Trudeau wins, or you should vote for Trudeau." And that's actually one of our laws is they're not supposed to, which makes sense because you don't want foreign internationals being involved in your elections, or officials. Sorry. I found out that apparently that was actually a spoof article. Thank goodness. If that was actually real, that would have been terrifying.
Which one? The giving the money or the fact that he wanted to give military intervention over here?
Military intervention. I'm so glad that was a spoof. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, please don't be real.
That is true. How is an official like giving money to a foreign election like not considered foreign interference?
Oh, it's definitely foreign interference. It absolutely is. But I mean, that's been something that's been going. I mean, we do that in other elections.
Oh, jeez.
We do a lot of that in other elections to try and get them to change the way that we want to. But of course, two of the ones that we want to see changes in are now in one-party rule.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were asking earlier, what role do you think the LP or the third party plays?
Yeah.
Right.
Both like the LP and the birthday party and something like that.
Birthday party. Well, I think it serves two roles. One of the roles is it siphons votes from the other two main parties, which can be seen as a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think it also brings way to possibly having a third party, which can also be a good thing. So, unfortunately, there's not enough people that can really get on board with just the single third party. This election could have been a good opportunity to maybe bring out a third party that could gain something of popular support. Unfortunately, the sides got so radicalized. The other sides are like, no, we can't let this happen. We just have to go hard to the other direction.
Oh yeah, I mean, you saw a lot of this. Well, your vote for Joe Jorgensen is really a vote for Trump, and that was the one that got me too. Is, I mean, do you think that if you gun to your head, they had to do one or the other, it was going to be the Libertarians were going to go vote for Biden? I'm going to take your guns away, Biden. I'm going to run with the cop, Biden.
Apparently, a lot of us did with the change in our votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and John, you voted for Jorgensen, which I still don't understand, but it's your vote.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't go with Trump again, so, and I absolutely was not going to go for Biden. So I figured I would just toe that little party line that I hate so much, and just yeah.
What's your opinion on collapsitarians voting Biden?
I get it. I understand why.
Yeah.
I understand why, but I couldn't do it. Yeah, I couldn't do it. There's no way.
That's a little bit too, and honestly, looking at, and this is something that I've pointed out too a few times, with Kamala Harris as the president, which I mean, we all know it's going to happen. We've all accepted that at this point. That if this goes through and Kamala becomes the president, it's going to happen. The Golden Edge Block production microphone is going to be gone, and I may or may not be in prison at some point for it too.
Well, what were their campaign promises? What can we expect for them to fight for when they're in the office?
I'm going to take your guns and $15 an hour minimum wage and the thing, man.
Healthcare for illegals.
Go ahead, Kelly.
I heard about mask mandates from Joe Biden.
Well, that's actually unconstitutional.
And possibly martial laws, too. And possibly martial law, which is also unconstitutional.
Well, by the time they throw martial law in the Constitution, it's pretty well meaningless at that point. That's the first I'm hearing about martial law, so wow, that's if it's going to that direction.
Oh, yeah, he wanted like a 2-month mandatory lockdown.
Fuck off.
Well, yeah, and that's...
But a lot of these that he's laying out, like, those aren't things that he can unilaterally do.
Correct.
Like, he can say it, but won't the states... the leadership of some of the states like say, no way, you can't do that, and we're not going to do that. That's how I foresee it happening. Like he'll have all like mandatory buybacks. Who's going to enforce that in a right-leaning state?
Better question is how does a government buy something that they never owned for the first time? How's that a buyback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, but how are they going to buy things when they don't have any money?
Didn't you guys have one of those up there, Kelly? At some point?
We didn't have a buyback, but they did ban a rifle here, and then it just suddenly became illegal. So anyone who owned it suddenly became a criminal.
Oh, I'm sure they lost it in a tragic boating accident shortly after.
Tragic boating accident.
And I think Australia or New Zealand, one of those had the mandatory like buyback, and everyone sold their guns to the government.
Yeah, they both did that. New Zealand, though, was a more recent one because of that shooting that must not be named on YouTube. And I think, what was it, like, very few people. I think it was, like, less than 3 digits. People.
Yeah,
actually,
nobody did.
Yeah, like...
Somebody's mentioning it in the chat, but yeah, if there's like a mandatory buyback and lockdown, there might be some secessions going on.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
try and stop them.
Yeah, that's part of the self-governance thing that goes along with this, and Lincoln's unconstitutional ban on secession actually might get overturned. Wouldn't mind seeing that. That's
true. I mean, well, you can say you can't do that. But if the states decide to do it anyway, and that's what all of this is, you can't do that, I said so, well, watch me do it anyway. That's what this whole thing is about. That is what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since we do have a Canadian here, I do also want to address something that came up in the past year with Trudeau's and the gun bans that went up there, is the fact that it was any gun with a bore diameter of, and I forget what the number was. It was just some ridiculously big number. Any gun with a bore diameter bigger than that is now banned. And I went through and I did the conversions and the measurements, and it turned out to be like everything smaller than an 8-gauge shotgun was banned in Canada, or was legal in Canada by that measure. Anything smaller than that, I'm like, what the hell are you guys hunting with up there? And can I get one? I will look that picture up after the show, and I will. I'm gonna tweet it back out, and I'm gonna tag you in it because I mean, if you guys have guns that big up there, fuck, I want one.
Yeah, it's dangerous, you know.
And I'm in Wisconsin, so I mean, it's not that far to get there.
I mean, we got moose and elk here, so I mean, moose and elk meat. And
hell
bear.
Yeah.
Venison is yum. Or is that deer?
I think that's just deer, isn't it?
Venison, yeah, it's
Venison?
just
I
deer.
don't
Is
know.
it?
Yeah. Super good though.
I've had elk though. It's really good.
Is it? I've never had elk. Oh, it sounds delicious though.
Yeah, deer hunting is like a state holiday where I live, so nobody goes to work on that day or that
Right.
week, I should say. But then again, my little sister,
I
who's
can't blame them.
yeah, my little sister, whose boyfriend owns the gun store in the small town that we grew up in. Um, she went out when she was 8.5 months pregnant and waddling with her second and shot a bear.
Damn.
Impressive.
Hardcore.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I didn't think anything of it either. Of course,
Yeah.
I've taken to jokingly calling my sister Backwoods Barbie lately, but
That's funny.
You've become so soft.
we got to get back to this election thing, though, because this is absolutely crazy. So I talked a little bit in my monologue about the lists. What's your take on the list of Cortez coming out and saying that we need to put people on lists, and the Twitter people that have been putting people on lists forever, and of course Jennifer Rubin, who is the conservative writer over at the Washington Post, also coming out and saying the lists. What's your take on the list? And for the three of us who have been on Twitter, have you ever been put on a list?
What is the purpose of that? And nobody's asking. Like, we need to make a list. How come nobody's saying, okay, what is the purpose of this list? Why do you need to know this stuff? What is your plan?
Well, even
For these
before
people.
AOC said that, when I got added to the second left-wingers list of people who support Trump over on Twitter, I said, well, when socialists are making a list, you need to start looking out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But now I feel kind of
Yeah.
left out because I'm not on anyone's list. I'm not.
Well, what are they
When I
going
was
to do
on-
with that list?
Right.
I'm sorry.
I'm jealous.
When I
though.
was on the list, I think I got added on like several since I started Twitter. I think I got added to like stupid people once. What else? Mega troll or something. I've been also added to some nice lists too, like cool people list and all that. But there's some the leftists can get really rude,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, troll," or "stupid person," and it's like whatever.
Well, I mean, you're full-on anarchist, and number two, you're not even in this country, so it's weirder for me to see people associating you with the president.
I used to be a libertarian, so maybe that was why, and then I became an anarchist, so it just was a slow transition.
Yeah, I'm still on the Federalist train myself, but I mean, like I said, when socialists are coming out and making a list, you gotta watch out and wonder what they're gonna do. And I mean, Kamala Harris in the primary said retribution for people. She said that retribution for people who aided and abetted Trump. What does that mean? Am I
Oh
in
my
that
gosh.
list?
It means that there are people that are way too complacent with tyranny and think that it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And if it happens, huge if, but if it happens and everyone's lives become, lower quality of life because now we're under such a strong gaze of scrutiny and our government's monitoring everything, and suddenly all of our money is gone, and now we have to stand in bread lines, and they're going to say, we didn't want this. Somebody's got to be there to remind them, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
You didn't listen.
you
got
voted
what you
for
wanted.
this.
Yeah, you voted for this.
Okay, that is the
And
most
you told the
wholesome thing that's
people
ever
that were
happened on
telling-
this stream. Second most wholesome thing.
What?
Look at John.
Aww.
Aw, puppies. I love puppies.
The only
Yeah,
other
that's
time
so
that's ever
wholesome.
happened was when I was actually down visiting John, and he was in the Airbnb, passed out, fucking drunk, and I was sitting outside doing contemporary, and the German Shepherd came up and sat in my lap and threw the ball at me
Aww.
in the middle of contemporary.
That's cute.
So where do you think this is going to go now? Like, based on what you know, what do you think is going to happen now?
I guess for me, it depends on what happens with the courts and what they decide to do about this. Like we've been all saying throughout the day, ever since the announcements were done, this is going to be Bush versus Gore all over again. Or let me rephrase that. it has the potential to be Bush versus Gore again because I have no crystal ball. I can't see the future. I don't practice Santeria. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I ain't got no crystal ball.
So it'll depend on what happens with the courts. I guess the good thing that I see off of this is that if they do overturn the presidential election, it's Trump and McConnell for another 4 years with the House blocking everything that they do. And anytime the federal government can't do anything, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Well, will that be the opposite too with Biden-Harris because we're Republican Senate?
Yeah, it's the same thing. And like I said, whenever the...
Oh yeah, we're in a stalemate either way. This sucks. This sucks, man.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling my husband. Like, no matter who wins, they're both gonna get stalled
Yeah.
in Congress. That's just how it is.
I'm done with you, puppy. Dismissed.
Dismissed. John, what's your take on this?
What I find
Go ahead, Kelly.
what I find really weird is that like Biden is more of a Republican than a Democrat, but he still ran as a Democrat, and Trump is more of like a Democrat than he is a Republican. So that was weird for me about the election. But I also find that like I'm kind of nervous for you guys because of what, huh?
Well, why do you say that? Because I can see Trump being a Democrat, a New York Democrat, but why do you think Biden is more of a Republican?
Because of the policies he voted for and voted against. He was for separatism of races, and he was also against gay marriage being
I think a lot of people
legalized, so that's why.
Well, and one of the things, too, you have to keep in mind with that is the massive shift of the parties, especially in the last 20 years, most notably in the last 12 years. I read Barack Obama's primary agenda. That's the reason I couldn't vote for him. It wasn't necessarily what he was going to do in the general and what he did in office, but what I saw out of his primary agenda, I said, this is going to move the parties to a point that we're never going to get back from. And damn, I was right. But if JFK ran today, who was like the stalwart of the Democrats, he was their guy, he was their big guy, he'd have to run as a Republican. There's no way he could make it as a Democrat today.
He was also a Catholic.
Like I said,
Democrats
there's no way he
would
could make
hate
it as a
him.
Democrat today.
Yeah. He wasn't a very good Catholic, but still.
I think they still let him take communion.
Well, good for them, I guess. But yeah, that's just a shift.
John, where do you think this is going?
I think we're going to see it be dragged out in the courts, to be honest. I think that's where it's going. I think we're going to see a lot of recounting, maybe, hopefully. I know I didn't vote for him, but I do hope that it swings back to Trump. Just so we can have 4 more years of salt flowing endlessly. That's fun. Yeah, the salt must flow, as they say.
I think that's the reason that Brit has her name changed to Salt by Brit.
Yeah.
But you know what? Even so, even if Biden does pull this through, Trump still had those 4 years.
Yeah.
And that's not something they're going to be able to take away from him.
Well, and no matter who wins, that's one of the other things that I've noticed with this is I do see the system as being broken. Like, most people have agreed at this point that the election was stolen, that they went through, they changed the ballots out to this, and they didn't even try to hide it. They were covering the windows like we were talking about.
Yeah.
They were kicking the poll watchers out. They got bold and brazen to the fact that they could come back and steal this election, allegedly, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Right in
That's
front
in
of
a
our
court of law.
eyes.
We can
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Innocent until proven guilty. We still have English common law here.
It's true. Like, you can't even say that you can't say that on YouTube, like that it was stolen. You have to put allegedly or they'll take your video down.
Really?
Allegedly.
Oh, and wasn't there a video of a guy burning like 800 ballots, and there was a video of him doing it?
Oh yeah.
And then it keeps getting removed from Twitter.
Oh yeah, like I said, they're doing it right out in open air right at this point. They don't care. They don't give a fuck.
Well, when we control the media, we control the information flow. And if you control the information, you control it all.
And
That's
yes,
what's scary.
and yes, if every American business, institution, educational institution, the media, and the government is all in your corner, you're not in the resistance. No matter who you're resisting.
Exactly.
The resistance are the people that are on the bottom of the screen right now, the full-on anarchist and the person who wasted his vote, as they keep trying to say over on Twitter.
Cry more. Cry
Cry
more.
I love it.
Yep. Well, who's ready for the Civil War, y'all? Yeehaw.
I will not make a comment on my preparedness.
That means he's prepared.
So I want to touch on just a little bit of policy and politics with this, especially given the fact that America is going to a much more leftward lurch, and we keep hearing the fact that we need universal health care because Canada's got it. And I'm curious about, first off, obviously don't give a city because you'll give away a lot of doxing information, but do you mind sharing what province you're in Canada, Callie?
I'm in Ontario.
Okay, so from what I understand of my geopolitics in Canada, you're like right in the belly of the beast then, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I sure am. Universal healthcare isn't as great as like they say it is. Like it's better than nothing, but it's still like people wait a long time for operations. Cancer gets misdiagnosed. They can't treat certain types of cancers here. So like I knew one girl who had a rare type of brain cancer who had to go all the way to Florida in the States to get it treated.
But I guess
what else?
My question with that is how is it being anarchy, libertarian, non-left-wing party in Canada? I know I've talked to some people out in the western provinces that are very amiable to the idea, but you still have your big government ideas that are ingrained in you from birth, from what I understand. I've never been there, so.
Oh yeah, it's schools are really bad for that here. Yeah, but I find I just try not to discuss it with my parents too often if I can, but just keep to myself in my Twitter bubble. Yeah, that's what I do.
I'm told from friends that live in the UK that have universal health care say it's free, but it's not very good. Like a friend of mine who's... I'm sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, that's basically it. It's not the best. For women in the States, they do a yearly pap smear. Here they do it once every 3 years. There's like checkups like that are not done that frequently or as frequently as it should be. And I think it's the same with like old people in their colonoscopies, where here it's every 5 years. I'm sure in the States it's like every 2 to 3 years.
I have a friend that lives in the... Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know when you stop talking.
No, it's okay. You can speak.
Oh, my friend in the UK has a girlfriend with mental... I wouldn't say mental issues, but like she does have to like see a therapist, and she has to take meds, and every time she runs out, like when she calls saying I need to renew this prescription, they toss her around between phone calls saying, oh, we don't do that, you need to call them. Oh, we don't do that, you need to call them. And like she's gone like 6 months without able to refill her prescription because they keep jerking her around like people aren't doing their jobs. Now that's just anecdotal, but have you seen anything similar like that happening where you're from?
I haven't had that happen to me personally. Personally, my doctor is really on top of the meds, but I think that's because we actually have to pay for our prescriptions here. Like it is universal healthcare, but we have to pay for our prescriptions, our optical care, our dental care, and for therapy for ourselves. Yeah.
So how much does that take out of your take-home pay?
Tax-wise?
Tax-wise, or just how much is it at a cost to you? I'm
assuming like maybe like $40 every paycheck, but that's because like I make minimum wage and I work part-time, so but and my meds can cost close to 200 plus
Mhm.
like 60 for like close to 200 for my morning meds, and my night meds are like I think $60 a month.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it
Okay.
gets a little expensive. It's not as universal as they say it is, but at least it's yeah, I could get insurance though, because they have insurance here too, kind of like the States, but it's to cover all the things not covered by universal health care.
Okay.
All right, I think that's where we're gonna wrap up the roundtable portion of this. I do have last question on this for you guys. Here is, if you could pull one positive out of a Biden presidency for the next 4 years, what would you take it for? And I'm going to start with Kelly, our observer from the north.
Getting to laugh at his speeches because he stumbles.
John?
Well, now, assuming that Biden becomes president, everything that's going wrong is now his fault, and we get to yell at all the leftists about how they're horrible because they support.
That is back. All right, we are back. And Spectrum is going to get a phone call from me off of that one there. But we've got some live. I've got to get Harvey's answer to this question here too. So, one positive coming out of the Biden presidency if he becomes the president. What do you got?
COVID will magically disappear after 2 months.
Come on, man.
They won't talk about it anymore. They won't talk about it anymore. They won't say, okay, they won't say, you're going to kill grandma. They're going to say, we beat COVID and it was all me. It was all me.
I don't know, though.
Come on, man.
I don't know, though. I think they can continue to use it to gain more power for themselves. So, I don't know.
But then maybe people will increasingly see bullshit.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if it's going to matter, though. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm just being a doomer.
Okay, doomer.
Okay, doomer.
Yeah, right.
All right, I'm going to see if I can pull up the remnants of the live chat here that I lost. So if you hear autoplay for a second, forgive me on that, because it won't show me that far back on DLive. You guys have been busy enough that it won't show me that far back. So let me see if YouTube still has it up here. My channel. Come on, think faster. All right, that's muted, good. All right, let's see how far back this goes, because I remember where we left off. All right, it goes that far back. So it doesn't go all the way back, but it gets back further than DLive does. So at this point, we are going to go and pay attention to the live chat here, answer questions. If you three have to jet at all, let me know, and I'll give you a chance to plug your stuff and have everybody follow you. But if you guys want to stick around for a little bit and catch up with live chat, you're welcome to.
Sure.
All right. Henry says Trump had a press conference with many poll watchers saying that and confirming that these claims that they weren't allowed in there. Blippity Blop from over on the Deplorable Batcave is hanging out with us. He's also from the UK, so he could probably weigh in just a little bit on that. Blippity Blop says, J. Edgar, somehow this election has made tin pot dictatorships look squeaky clean by comparison.
Yeah.
This was the real reason why they opposed ACB so furiously.
Yeah.
I mean, they did. I don't think they tried that hard. Not as hard as they usually do.
No, I think that if this was really up there, that they would have been doing much, much worse with her, and they were trying to do much, much worse with her, but they couldn't bring any of that out there. Watching trains go by says, my biggest problem I see creeping in, some people are arguing over which demographic did what. Like, they rationalizing the results and are trying to understand how Trump lost for getting the fraud. And I see some of that with Republicans too. Like, they said right at the beginning that the Republicans were just going to throw Don under the bus, and even Shapiro threw Don under the bus. And as soon as the wind shifted, the Republicans got onto they turned their sails and they turned into that. And I can see a little bit of that.
Spineless.
Yep.
Spineless cucks.
Yep. Agreed.
Blippity Blop says, why would they
Agreed.
fight for Trump? They hate him.
Come on, Republicans profit just as much off of war as anybody else, if not more so. So of course they don't like Trump because he didn't get us into another war.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I worry about too, is the fact that we had all these war hawks, these CIA intelligence analysts, the war hawks, the Lincoln Project war hawks, every fucking war hawk in the world was suddenly behind Biden, which means, and I've joked about this as being the reason that they want to do this, but I got this feeling that every one of them wants to sit back and are waiting to go over and look, get into Iran's ear and say, "Psst, Israel called your mom fat."
They want to blow up poor brown kids in the Middle East.
Yeah.
That was
Obvious.
that was so funny when I saw that on that election ad that all the people that I'm friends with put out, and Clint just started drinking. Blippity
It's
Blops.
so weird though. In the regions where they interfered in the Middle East, the opium poppies are 90% stronger.
Oh, opium.
You don't say.
Blippity Blop says he does what he says he will do. He doesn't cow or do as he's told. I've got Ellen Lewis June over here. That's a new name in here. He did roll back a lot of LGBT laws. He also did a lot of gun control laws. I don't remember any LGBT laws that he did.
The only one I know of that they could be referring to is banning trans people from the military.
Yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
one I know of too.
Well,
Yeah.
that was on the basis that it was a mental. It would be a mental thing, that they don't
Right.
want people with mental deficiencies,
No, I mean,
and if that's
yeah.
what's considered a mental deficiency, so it was more for that reason, not because he hated trans people.
Right. No, it totally makes sense. But that's what people always like to bring up when they say, "Oh, he hates gay people" or something. You say, "Give me an example." 100% of
Yeah.
the time, it's that.
Like I don't think Trump cares. I don't think he cares one way or another. Like his lawyer back in like the 80s was gay, at a time where it was considered taboo, but he didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I have the best gay friends. The best, the greatest. Watching Trains Go By says, I heard Trudeau offer to send military help to remove Trump, but I haven't verified that one yet. Looks like we verified that one as a spoof.
Yep.
Does Canada even have an army?
I don't know.
They got a couple of geese that kind of run around. I don't know.
Yeah, we have.
I do think the RCP uniforms are cool.
That's fair.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. They're pretty cool looking.
Like, even their names is pretty cool. Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Like that sounds pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Sounds
That's probably-
badass. Yeah.
On horseback.
Then it turns out they're Canadians. You're like, oh, I'm not scared.
Yeah. They can be just so nice.
Right? They're just so polite.
Hmm I have not met a rude Canadian, so.
They're like, stop, or I'll say stop again.
They're like the Mormons on the world stage.
All right, guys, let's not spend a whole hour ripping on Canada.
We're not. We're complimenting them.
Right.
Pina Laws over on Twitch says, first thing Biden must do is give amnesty for all immigrants with free Medicaid, housing, and SNAP funded by a national sales tax of 15% with an exemption for poverty-level families. No.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds terrifying and horrible. Let's not do that. Otherwise, we're all going to be poverty-level families. That's not okay.
That's the end goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Remove middle class.
Yep.
Every single white
Sounds like
middle class kid just gets what they deserve. Sorry, what?
sounds like that. It sounds like that's how they're running, because they run things here similar with our sales taxes, which really sucks because it thinks, oh yeah, you're getting this item for cheap, and then all of a sudden you're paying taxes on it. It's like, it's not $50, it's $75. It's like,
Oh my god.
All right, are we back up? We are back up.
Yeah.
All right, we're back up here. Fucking Spectrum once again.
Sons of bitches, all of them.
All right. Watching trains go by says I'm not even blaming libertarians for how they voted because the fraud would have compensated for any amount of their support too. They kept fixing ballots until they had the numbers that they needed.
Yep.
Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru says the LP didn't win. I'm going to respect property rights and not aggress.
Right.
Ron Helton says this election is going to the Supreme Court. El Douche Macron of France congratulated Biden on his win. Not so fast, El Douche, I said.
Yeah.
Ron also says 4 years the Democrats. Ron Helton hates Democrats, by the way. Said that the Russians helped Trump get elected. Now these jackasses are saying it's not possible to steal.
Right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. He won fair and square. Did he? Except he did it.
Yeah, I do. I love the fact that these people are out there now. The same people who said stolen election, rigged, ballots stolen, this, that, and everything for 4 years are now saying you can't steal an election. Accept the results, you fucking bigot.
Yep.
Ron says if the LP had picked a better candidate that actually stayed on message instead of pandering to the left-wing nutjobs.
Yep.
I've got Grant over on YouTube says, who here is on the list to be gulagged?
I'm not. I'm left out. Nobody wants to kill me.
You need to get a bigger Twitter following, and then you'll be on the list to be gulagged.
Yeah, I'll be in the cool kids club.
Grant also says, ban on fracking, court packing with questions. Yeah. Yeah, well, we could see both of those coming here.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs going to be gone, too.
I'm going to put a lot of coworkers out of work.
That's... Oh, whenever you bring that up, they're like, they say, he said he was going to do it in phases, okay? They're not just going to disappear overnight. I'm like, okay, but they are going to disappear.
Right. Well,
like, who voted for that? Yeah, just learn the code.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there goes my Twitter account.
Uh-oh.
Because we're streaming this on Periscope.
Whoops.
Harvey said the LTC words.
What?
If you say the LTC words, that's an Insta, or it used to be. I think they fixed it now, but it used to be an Insta ban on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't even know what LTC is.
Should I say it again?
Somebody
Should I
type
chance
it.
Say it again.
Learn to
say
code.
it again. Who cares? Yeah.
Learn to code.
Learn to code.
Oh, learn to code.
Oh.
I remember that.
Yep.
They're chilling really hard for them, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Ron says Biden will last about 2 months before handing it over to Kamala. The Senate will pass the socialist programs because they want their budget. Grant also asked heavier tech censorship. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
got
they're
a
going to be
feeling.
allowed to do it.
I got a feeling if Kamala takes over, I'm going to be doing a lot more gaming content and a lot less political content. Until they look back at my feed and take me to prison anyway.
That's what the government will be. Dissenting opinion will not be allowed. Yet, there's so much dissenting opinion against Trump. Nobody finds that crazy.
Nope. Everything's normal. Return to your homes.
Status quo.
Get in the pod. Eat the insects.
Oh yeah, I think reparations too.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do it.
You're right. If they do that, then they can't run on it next year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Next
year.
Well,
Yeah.
next
Midterm?
election.
The midterm election cycle has already started, so the campaigning's going to start for that already, and you know it as well as I
Oh,
do.
yeah. Fair enough.
We need to get more members of the squad in.
Oh yeah, he's gonna pack the courts too, because he not so subtly said he was going to.
Do you think
Yeah, we
he's
have
going to
like
pack the courts
76
with
judges.
Do you think he's going to pack the courts
What?
with squad members?
Squad members. Oh, God.
Oh gosh, please, no. But he could. He might. He said he was going to pack the courts, and that's why. Yeah, it's not looking good.
I think I just scared my panel.
Yeah.
Grant says it's a buyback because in their eyes the government owns everything.
Yeah, that's true. It's fair enough.
Watching Trains Go By says the lockdowns are martial law by another name. That's how they got the guns and justify keeping people from joining together in unmanageable numbers.
Scary.
Grant says the same thing Harvey said. Coronavirus might also go away now that it's not useful for the election anymore. Ron says the ban on secession is not worth the paper it was written on. Bunch of brain jackasses to think otherwise.
Agreed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If a state wants to, it will.
Galt says 450. Ron says, so I guess I can't immigrate to Canada and keep my 20 millimeter cannon. Galt says the 450 Bushmaster is the poo with a thumbs up, so I'm thinking it's a good poo.
I guess so.
Grant says the list is a blacklist. They have stated the purpose is a blacklist, also possibly prosecution. So that's what they're talking about with and that's what AOC was, I think, saying too, is the fact that if you're on this list, then you're not allowed, the decent people aren't allowed to do business with you.
Who is supporting this shit? Can you imagine if a Republican said that about a Democrat? The shitstorm that the media would be in?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine a libertarian saying it about a Democrat or Republican because that would be aggressing against people.
Right.
Hmm.
We don't
Yeah,
round
she's
people
dangerous.
up, all right? Yeah, we don't round people up. We just quietly encourage them to go where we want them. Nah, just kidding, obviously.
Let's see. Galt says, list reminds me of the 1940s Germany. Nephilim says, John's on my list and I'm checking it twice.
Yeah.
Elman Lewis June says, why do you want anarchy? How is no law a good thing? Our resident anarchist?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So it's not a bad thing, and people are like told that it means chaos and violence, but if you actually read the philosophy behind it, it's actually pretty peaceful. And rulers are almost always pretty violent, and then they keep oppressing the people, and it's proven time and time throughout history that that's happened. And did you know that Ireland was actually anarchist for 1,000 years and actually had traveling judges to rule on cases?
To our resident Irish historian over there.
It's true, yeah.
Dude, John is into all kinds of Irish history. He knows stuff I couldn't even imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, for Halloween, I went on Stephen's show and did a whole bunch, like, the history of Halloween in Ireland, the traditions and all that.
I remember that.
That's where it came from. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I never knew that it was from Ireland.
Yeah. Yep, in Irish, it's Ihahauna. That's how it's pronounced. Doesn't look that way when you spell it out, but that's how it's pronounced.
I just banged my knee on my desk. That was lame. Grant says Trump is going to lose. They're going to find a lot of election fraud, but not enough to change results. Media will ignore the voter fraud. Republicans will not trust the system anymore. Next election, heavier tech censorship, more media bias, more cheating. No rebound for Republicans. Those were Democrat positions.
I don't disagree.
Ellen Louise June says, even if Biden is elected, don't we have the Senate and House, also Supreme Court? Not the House, but the Senate.
Right.
Yeah. So they're going to stalemate. They're going to stall him at every turn.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So
let's see.
Realistically, neither of them will be able to get anything done.
I think we're going to see a lot more executive orders because of that.
Ron says there will not be another U.S. national election if secessionists get their way. Ellen Louise Jewin says Biden, ? Ghost of Liberty, that's a new name in here, says, I see Biden selling us to China. I see Kamala passing very anti-white laws. Ron Helton says the Senate will pass the budgets containing the new Green Steel and more socialism programs. They want their own budget items RIP. And now that Ron has said new Green Steel, now I think that's the cue for O'Reilly to come in here and start spouting BLM stuff like he did on... Dude, Ron and this dude who I don't even know over on Twitch just went entire contemporary going back and forth at each other. It was over 200 messages of just the two of them going back and forth with each other. Because Ron said Green New Steel.
Really? That's awesome. Good on you, Ron.
Grant says the cheating isn't new. Video unverified. Ron says I hope they enjoy their new, smaller, compact version of a country. Still talking about secession, of course. Watching Trains Go By says they laughed, mocked openly before they did it. We need to ask ourselves why. How did Trump and GOP would do nothing to stop all of it? Who thinks that the ones allowing it can fix it either? That was a lot of words in one sentence.
Yeah, it was. Punctuation is important.
And I just got to Alan's message, and he just retracted it, so I could possibly get back up in the... No.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, it is unfortunate, because I like to read what you guys put up here. Ron says, we will be taking applications for states who want to join the Liberated States of America. I think Ron Helton's going to be our president in the Liberated States of America.
I know that he'll be very aggressive when he leaves me alone. It'll be great.
Grant pointed out something I wanted to bring up when we were talking about healthcare, that Lauren Chen, the roaming millennial, is getting her dad treated in the U.S. He's actually at Mayo Clinic of Rochester, which I've seen perform miracles at that clinic. That's about an hour away from where I grew up. So I've seen miracles on that one.
Hell yeah. Good for her. And her dad, obviously.
All right. It's as often as you can afford it in the States, is I'm guessing your procedures. The breakdown with Birkenhoff is in here. Wyatt says, hey, everyone.
What's up, Wyatt?
Unsatiable says, love her already. And I don't know who that was directed to, but Unsatiable is going to be entertaining for the rest of the stream. I can tell you that. Ellen Louise June says the memes, I'm guessing for the good thing to come out of the Biden presidency. The stream broke. Yeah, that was the big F's in the chat for the stream. Let's see. Uh-oh. Everything hiccuped here. I think I'm almost caught back up to where I was. Yeah, because I put in big F's for the stream. It's a spectrum problem. So that's where we're caught up in the regular chat here. Grant says COVID counter is going away, just like the body count for Iraq and Afghanistan. Oof.
Oof, yeah.
Oh.
Spicy.
F. F for the counts.
Yeah.
Watching Trains Go By says, not until they vaccinate and chip everyone, they will take absolute control from there. There will be no more middle class or middle ground.
I hope you're wrong, but I don't know.
Ellen says, sad. Wyatt says, dumb spectrum. Grant says, daily COVID counts going away regardless of whether they continue or end lockdowns. Let's see. Watching Trains Go By says, the drug war has been very good for business, Callie.
It's true.
Ron says, Biden was a key player in the Iraq war. Fact check true. He did not allow any dissenting witnesses in his committee. Grant says, you can't be taking medication for active duty. I didn't know that. John, did you know that? You went to a military school, didn't you?
Well, that was a military school. It's a little bit different than actually being in the military. So, yeah, I mean, if you needed medication, they got it for you, you know. But, yeah, I mean, the purpose behind that in the military, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm sure it is. It makes sense because, like, you know, they can't get it to you if you're trapped somewhere for days.
Yeah.
They can't get it to you, you know. I don't know. Anything could happen. It's not a good idea. It's more of a liability than it is a net positive.
Ron Helton says Shirley Trudeau would not make such a ridiculous statement. That would mean a war with Canada. Grant has a question for us here, so I'll do a round for all you guys. What's the first new war Biden starts? Starting with Harvey.
Iran. Oh, sorry.
Out of turn. Look
I don't know. I'll go.
John says Iran. Kelly?
Yeah.
Did I lose Kelly? Oh, there she is.
I would. Oh, I would say Iran, but you guys already said it, so I'll say another country. Hmm.
There's a lot of them full of brown people. Just pick one.
Yeah.
A lot of them, yeah. I'll just say Armenia just to say it.
Oh.
Spicy.
Whatever country China wills.
Oh.
Nice. Very
Nice.
spicy. I like it.
Would that be the country that contains the Uyghur Muslims?
Isn't China shipping off Muslims and Christians to camps? Wasn't that the big hullabaloo surrounding Wuhan?
No, that never
Yeah,
happened.
they
Everyone's
did
on
send the
vacation.
Uyghurs to the camp. Oh, everyone's on vacation.
Never happened. Everyone's on vacation.
Are those camps where people learn how to concentrate really well?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. And aren't they harvesting organs and stuff and breeding out the women?
You're just getting taught like brand new skills like cooking, and that's it. They're teaching people how to be self-sustainable at these camps.
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
If I wasn't kicked off YouTube before, it might happen now. Blaze of glory. This is how I'm going to get kicked off YouTube right here.
Right.
I hope I get kicked off of YouTube like that.
And it won't even be your fault either.
Fingers in the air. Yeah, and then they reminded me that the stream hiccuped again. Ron Helt says, how did Oklahoma, who had the largest voter turnout, manage to have ballots and in-person votes done on election night, 69% turnout?
Nice. I don't know.
69.
Yeah.
There's something really corrupt in those swing states. Well, I can speak for one of
100%.
those swing states.
Yeah. Yeah, what's wrong with your state, Ed? The hell?
Tony
Speak for your
Evers.
state. Defend it now.
I'm trying. Grant says, do you guys think Biden will bring John Brennan and James Clapper back? Jump ball. Anybody who wants to go first?
Wait, what?
Do you think Biden will bring John Brennan and James Clapper back?
Flapper. I don't know. No idea.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is
Haven't
Hunter
even thought
Biden
about
going to go to jail for smoking crack since Biden locked up all those crack smokers during his time?
No, that's rules for thee, but not for me. Or my
Right.
kids.
Yeah. These are the people that we put in power. And
Yeah.
Kamala smoked weed but laughed about locking people up.
Yep.
Or laughed at smoking weed and locked a bunch of people up for it.
Yep.
Joe, you keep saying that we can't, and I just gotta ask, why don't you just say that we can?
Oh my god. And that evil cackle she has. Oh my god.
When I do my Kamala Harris
She's a
voice on Contemporary, it's always the Myrtle Urkel voice. That Southern Belle, that black kind of Southern Belle voice.
Yeah, that's funny.
Let's see. Ron says AOC is pushing to have all Trump supporters be rounded up and punished. She should be immediately expelled from the House. Hear, hear.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Hey.
Aye.
Rules for thee, not for me.
There you
I'm
go.
just doing the right thing. What a
I'm just like doing the right thing because like Trump supporters are just like evil, so they should all just be rounded up. I mean, like honestly.
Spartan has an interesting solution for our country here. He says, make Canada, Mexico, and the USA into one country, with me as the emperor in absolute power.
No thanks. First of all, I don't want to be involved with Canada or Mexico, and I also don't want an emperor with any kind of power. So, no thanks.
Yes.
Ellen says, nah, watch out for COVID-19. The generational gap says, hello, slackers, -R.
It's Robert. Yeah. What's up, man?
Spartan says, democracy has failed Biden. Being able to run is proof. Time to return to tradition. Watching trains go by says, I'm in Spartan. Convince the Dems, and you don't even need my vote. Just let the same poll workers run this election. Spartan says, anarchy means no government. There will always be hierarchy. A judge would be a form of government. Ergo, that would not be anarchy.
Well, not necessarily though. More like a mediator than a appointed judge or a elected judge. Just somebody you said, a third party that you can just be like, hey, come over here, tell us who's wrong or right, and we agree to abide by that decision. That's not necessarily government.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not government at all. And it's definitely, there's some cases that are gray areas where you don't know if like the person committed a violent crime or not, and you kind of need to hear both sides of the story.
Yeah.
And like there would still be considered like the crimes because there's the non-aggression principle. Stealing people's stuff or like hitting somebody obviously violates the NAP, and you have to see.
Don't hurt
who
people, don't take
violated
their
or
stuff.
who didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's simple.
All right, let's see. Ron's hens are molting, apparently. So many feathers, it looks like one or two of them were massacred.
Aw.
Ron will be our resident poultry farmer in the new LSA.
Yeah.
And then he says, I will aggressively leave everyone in the LSA alone.
Damn right.
Alan says, isn't it illegal what AOC is doing with that list crap?
Well, technically, she didn't make a threat or anything, so I think she's actually safe legally. Unfortunately, I mean, we're mainly speculating on what she would do with that list, but yeah, she hasn't really come out and said anything that was illegal. That pesky First Amendment.
Ron says, I say Venezuela because the CIA wants to overthrow that country. Biden is a statist and will do what the intel agencies want. They also want to bomb and overthrow Iran and get back to finish off Syria. Isn't that a lot of countries with a lot of brown people in them?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alan says, too, if the Dems are going full socialist, F in the chat for freedom. I think we're almost to the bottom here.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Ron says, yes, there is a California law that makes it illegal. I don't know about nationally. I'm not sure what we were talking about at that point. Oh, for AOC to say that. Grant says, who do you guys think Biden will pick for his cabinet?
Oh gosh, I don't think even he knows. He probably doesn't even remember them.
Yeah.
I think Home Depot's got the best cabinets.
He's gonna pick Tupac, Elvis, who else?
John McCain, Dick Cheney,
Marilyn Monroe.
yeah. Yeah.
George H.W.
Right.
Well,
Taylor Swift.
One of the nice parts, if it does stay Senate controlled by Republicans, then Biden doesn't get a lot of say over who he picks for the cabinet because, I mean, the people that are vying for it, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Bernie Sanders, those people vying for it, Mitch McConnell can just come out and say, nope, you're not going to have those people in your cabinet. Fuck that.
Yeah, true.
Grant blames Canada for Kamala Harris. Let's see.
Fair enough.
Ron says Grant, he will give 19 cents a job. He needs the extra income for Biden's new taxes. Spartan says a mediator with no real power, a mediator who cannot stand up to any criminal network. Anarchy is the most unrealistic ideology.
Well, there's a lot more that goes into how you deal with people like that in anarchy. And it's not just about having a mediator, but that's a different discussion, I think.
There's a really good episode. Oh, there's a really good episode on the Bob Murphy show about pacifism and how it would exist in an anarcho-capitalist society, and I really would recommend that episode to the person who made that comment about anarchy being irrealistic, and give it a good listen.
All right, I will make sure that gets linked out as well because and I think we should have some of you guys back here, especially John and Kelly, for an actual discussion on anarchy because I think that would actually be a good one because I don't understand anarchy entirely societally myself. I understand what anarchy is, but how it works in a society, I would like to sit down and hear it from people who espouse the ideology. But I think we're going to call it there here with Nephilim Ninja getting last word, and he says, and get ready for a big oof. How many of Biden's cabinets will be from Wayfair?
I don't get it.
And as
Wayfair
you-
gives me just what I need.
Yeah, especially when what you just need is kids.
Yeah, I was
Missing
gonna say
exploited children.
your stream's definitely going down now because remember our stream got pulled down in the middle of it.
Yeah, but that's because you were talking about
Oh, that's
cheese
right.
pie fence
Gates.
store.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All
That's
right,
true.
that is going to be it here. So I'm going to give my guests here a chance to plug their stuff and make sure everybody comes and checks with them. We're going to go counterclockwise from me here. So I will start with the lovely Harvey McLeod, who came by and joined us today at the last minute.
Sorry about that. But I stream on Twitch. My next game coming up is probably going to be a blind playthrough of Dead Space, so screams will be abound. But yeah, you can just follow me at twitch.tv/Harvey McLeod, all one word. 2 C's in the McLeod.
All right, John, where can they find you?
Well, I am one half of the generational gap. My co-host Robert and I do 2 streams a week on Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. All those times are Eastern, the most superior time zone to have ever existed. And you can find us over there. Just search the generational gap.
Kelly, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Callie_THKitty.
Which is up on the screen there. And
Callie with a K, not Callie with a C.
And for those you watching back on the screen, that is up there on the screen. So go ahead and pick that up. Is there anything else, any other projects you've got working on right now, or?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I might be starting a podcast with some friends in a bit. And that is, once the first episode comes out, I'm going to post it.
All right, everybody, keep an eye out for that, and give Callie a follow because it's an amazing and halfway hilarious follow too. I do enjoy the Degenerate Fridays; those are always fun.
Oh, thank you.
All right, and that is going to be it for us. Where's my outro music? Common question around here. There it is. All right, so this has been Across the Board with Jay Edgar here. We will be back. I'll be back here on Monday for more contemporary, and on Monday night for the Redneck Show with my returning co-hostess Elaine coming fresh off the campaign trail. I'm sure we will have a lot to talk about. So come and hang out with us, keep us in check, and have fun with us. If you want to finish the conversation with me, you can find me over on Twitter. That is at EdsBlog Twitter with a 1 in place of the I, or the Discord that is located in the description of everything below you here. We do call-in shows, and that's how I host them. So get in the Discord, get the discussion going, and get your voice heard on the air as well. And as always, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. I hope that you guys enjoyed what we did and follow all my friends here. And we will see you next time. Take care.
See you guys.
See ya.